Don't let anybody tell you what was traumatic for you and what was not. Hi, my name is April Kirkwood, your regular holistic counselor, here to help you today, trying to figure out that now that you might have an inkling that adulting is hard because you had some kind of traumatic issue, and I will tell you what, this is key, and I didn't say it before, what is traumatic to one person may not be traumatic to another. It's not actually the incident, it's how you are affected by the incident. I've seen 3 people witness a car crash. One person was getting ready to get married and picking up her gown, and she's busy and she really didn't even notice it. The other person had lost somebody in the past in a car accident, totally traumatized, brought back everything. And another person was just a little unsettled about it. It really upset them. So, it's all a matter of perspective. So if someone says to you, oh, that wasn't that bad when we were growing up, maybe it wasn't that bad for them, a brother or a sister or an aunt or an uncle or even a mother, but it might have been sure as heck terrible for you. So don't let anybody tell you what was traumatic for you and what was not. You owe nobody an explanation for wanting to know yourself better and do some healing work. So what we do in a nutshell, and I'm going to talk about 4 ways that we do this, is it's called resistance. We build up a resistance when daddy comes home and beats the shit out of mom because he's drunk again, or mom is never home because she's out having an affair with somebody, or grandpa sexually abused you, or the uncle touched you inappropriately. What happens is we do several things. The first thing we do is we hold on to our safety blanket. In real life, in 3-dimension physical terms, and we're talking about physically, mentally, and spiritually, physically, we may have a nightlight, a favorite book, a bunny, a teddy bear that we cling to escape the present situation. Spiritually, we also, and mentally, spiritually, we check out. We just check out. They say there is a very, very, very thin golden string type entity between you and your navel and your higher self up there, but that's really different. But spiritually, you blank out. Mentally, you use defense mechanisms saying, uncle wasn't that bad, or that didn't really happen. We go back to total denial, total blacking out, making sure in our own mind it didn't happen, because our own mind could not cope with such disaster. So we use things to say it didn't happen like that. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm not okay. I am not okay. But if you tell yourself you're okay long enough, guess what? You convince yourself that it's true, even though it isn't. And that's when the resistance that kept you safe for so many years, you get what I'm saying here? That thing that kept you safe for so many years is now not a positive, but it is a negative. And it is detracting you from the development you need to do, from the choices you need to make, from the thoughts you need to think, from the spirit you need to connect with. Another thing we do is the game of make-believe. We just rewrite it. We make up stories. That's what you do when you're little. I'm a prince. You're a princess. We're going to get married. We're going to do this. My daddy would never hurt me. I was a guidance counselor for years, and I had this little boy come into my office, and he said he was going to run away from school. I think he was in third grade. So comes to the guidance counselor, and I said, well, where are you going to run away to? And he goes, I am going to run down to West Virginia, and I was in Ohio at the time, and I am going to go fishing with my dad. My dad and I are going to spend the rest of our lives together. So I'm listening to him. Eventually, I let him go back to class, calm him down, and report back to both my principal and the parent, because I think schooling is a group activity. Nobody knows your child more than you do. However, I talked to the mom. He hadn't seen his father since he was 1. So he was in a make-believe land that daddy was wonderful, daddy was going to save him, mom was keeping him from dad, mom was the bad person, the school was terrible, everybody hates me. But in truth, he made up that story about daddy because it gave him some sense of what? Comfort. And it took away his fear that he wasn't alone, and that, children, we all think that the first thing we think is, what did I do? What did I do? Now, as adults, we can rationalize. I did not make that happen. I did not cause them to break up, unless you're a big person and you did, and you were cheating. But you kind of think everything is your fault. Mommy is yelling, I must have done something bad. Daddy's not coming home, he must not love me. And then you do, as you grow, you get very angry, and you do things, of course, to get attention in all of the wrong ways. Another thing that I did, I wanted somebody to save me and make things right for me. I call it the first crush syndrome. The first crush syndrome is, for me, it was Frankie Valli. Every guy that I know in the 70s had a picture of Farrah Fawcett in her red bathing suit on his bedroom wall. Well, for me, it was Mr. Valli. He looked like my father. I met him at a pivotal time in my age, 5 or 6 years old, went to the first concert. And I must have been so broken and so afraid that in my mind, I made believe. I created him as my safety blanket. He was my first crush. I developed what I thought good romance was, and we're going to be talking about that a lot in this series. But he didn't, as I grew up, and I keep waiting for Frankie to come. Of course, he slept with me, and we had times together, but he was never going to save me. It wasn't in his agenda to save me, and on a deeper level, it wasn't his responsibility to save me. But boy, when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I had brainwashed it that this man is going to take me out of this dysfunctional, fist-fighting, hellish family life that I was growing up in and make things right. Besides that, my parents would be proud of me. I married a superstar, and I was going to be rich and famous and beautiful and get my picture taken in magazines. So, it killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I was going to become somebody that my parents could be proud of. Because remember, this is a no blame game here. I don't want you to blame your parents. You need to identify where the dysfunction was and where the neglect was, or the abuse, but you don't blame them. And we're going to talk about that as well. The next step is that really affects us is the big people in our lives that are supposed to spiritually act like Godheads, nurture us, support us, give us kudos, be someone who encourages our best selves to come out, wants us to grow up and be happy, instead of saying you're a no good SOB like your dad, you're never going to amount to anything. Why don't you just be pretty and settle down and get married like all the other girls? Why would you ever want to leave home and go to New York? Why push the envelope? Aren't you're good enough as it is. Where what it's doing is it's really damaging your self-esteem. It's hurting your soul's purpose. It is creating guilt for feeling the way you feel. Then you start think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I can't do any of this. Maybe I can't be whatever I've always dreamt of being. And also, it does not, and you know this, families could be, your best friend or your worst enemies. It does nothing to create a support system. So these are the things that actually hurt you, which at one time helped you. I'm here to help you all the time. I'd like to invite you to read about my dysfunctional life. It's called, let me get the book real quick. It is called Working My Way Back to Me. It is about, and I'll read you a little bit about it. It's celebrity worship, spousal abuse, sexual abuse, adultery, false religiosity, and innocence interrupted all converge into one rolling brew that boils over into one heck of a story. That's what somebody wrote about the book. After they read it, you can go to Amazon, order it on Barnes and Nobles, go to my website, you can read about it. And also, if you subscribe to YouTube, you can get the first chapter on audio. It's not too late for you. You can get healthy. I did it. And I came from a very, very sick family. Multi-generational, years and years and years of women who did everything wrong but loved me so severely. I'm not taking away the intention of your family's love. It's just the way it was presented, and probably because they were hurting. Until we meet again, I'll see you next week. I love you. I praise you. I appreciate you. You are God's child. Great things happen to you if you let it. We're gonna make this happen. Nothing can stop it. See you soon. Stay well, my friend.